I get asked so much if I believe in a soul, or what do I think a soul is. But the thing is, the answer isn't as simple as yes or no. There's so much to providing this answer, which is why I thought I'll make a video about it, about my perspective based on my direct experience and past experiences. Firstly, let's look into why the question exists at all. Why do humans want to know? Why do we care? We care because of continuity. We care because of fear. We're scared to die, some of us. Some of us are curious. Is there continuation? Do I continue in some form? Is that form a soul? People genuinely want to know because they want to know if they see loved ones again. Friendships, relationships, do they last? People care about identity, whether this self that they consider the self, whatever that is, does that continue? And others just are really seeking for meaning. Because if a soul exists, then surely this means something. So there's loads of different reasons why people ask whether a soul is real, whether it exists, and what I think about it. So first, I'll start with past experiences and what that showed me today. So if we look at before the age of 21, I would say, I don't know, but I think so. There appears to be a feeling of something more. But that's a belief. It's not based off anything. It's just life almost feels too weird, too strange to just be a coincidence. But there is the sleep paralysis that I've had my whole life. Sleep paralysis pointed towards potential continuation of some form. However, we can't look at that based on the experience itself. The experience is a fleeting experience and could be technically described as hallucination, some form of dream. So we can't really take sleep paralysis into consideration. The biggest experience for me, and maybe the starting point, is the experience of infinity. The plant medicine that I took when I was 21. Because in that experience itself, Sasha died. My identity died. I've said this so many times and it's impossible to explain what that means. You can only feel it. You can only have the experience of that. I can't really explain what that means. But it showed me that experience can exist without identity. I was still here. There was still experience being had, but there wasn't a person experiencing anything. And then if you look at that, and if you say, okay, there's a feeling here of infinity, no beginning, no end, and it's undeniable. It's more real than anything you've ever felt. However, within this feeling of infinity, there is no me that I can locate. There is just experience. And within experience, there is no separation between anything. So let's start with that, not as proof, but as experience. It's potentially possible for experience to have some form of continuation. However, it's not so easy to say that the aspect of who you think you are continues. Again, that's just from that one experience. I think more importantly than that experience itself, it's hidden in the question, the soul. What do you think a soul is? What do you subjectively think of as a soul? What elements make up a soul? Your identity, your memory, your personality, your awareness. The thing is, and I've said this before, let's look at firstly memory, identity, personality. In my experience, and I'm sure in all of yours, if you really do look closely at this, none of that is fixed. Your memory changes over time, not 100%, sometimes 100%. But even 5 minutes after an experience, you can have a different version of events to someone else. So we can't really look at memory as something that could potentially last, or something concrete that we can consider is can continue as a fixed thing. And then we look at identity. Again, just as I ask, what do you think a soul is? What do you think your identity is? Is it the colors that you like? Is it the job that you have? Is it the characters that you are based on the people that you socialize with? Because who you are changes depending on who you're with. And not only does it change depending on who you're with, it changes over time. You can look back even 5 years ago or 10 years ago. Are you the same person that you was then? And then look at your personality. It's the exact same thing. Do you have the same personality as you did 10 years ago? So again, there's no real conclusion or answer here, but these are the things that I would look at if I'm getting asked this question. What can we identify that appears to be fixed, that can continue in the first place? And what do we actually mean when we ask, what do we think a soul is? In my experiences, there appears to be a paradox. There appears to be two things that are potentially true, and they're opposite. Because if you look at my plant medicine experience, for example, there was nothing that I could claim as I. It's just experience was. There was no me experiencing life. There was just life. And it had an infinite quality to it. That's what I mean when I say I died. There was no me there holding on to anything. It was just this. And then you can also look at what many people's day-to-day lives are. A real fundamental, strong feeling of me. I am. I exist. Whether we can pinpoint what our personality is, whether our memories are stable, are true, whether our identity is fixed, there still appears to be a real felt strong sense of I am here. Now, I have to say, if we talk about altered states of consciousness, out of body experiences, lucid dreams, and things like that, I've experienced both. I've experienced being in a body that felt completely like me in the moment, my body, but I didn't look like me. I didn't act like me. I wasn't me. I was someone else with no recollection or memory of me as Sasha. And then I've also had experiences where I feel completely like me. Again, there's a paradox. And honestly, I can't dismiss either. So I want to give you the answer now based on all of that. The closest thing that I can say is maybe the soul isn't what we think it is. Maybe the closest thing that we can call a soul is a perspective. Not a thing, not a form, not an identity, but a perspective within textures of consciousness, textures of experience. Whether you are you now, whether you are someone else, whether you are something else, whether you experience an apparent feeling of infinity within an apparent limitless form, whether you feel like very limited and stuck and temporary, what seems to stay is the perspective. Now, it's up to you what you want to label that. But for me, I can't categorically say there is a soul living within this body. I can't categorically say there is a soul living somewhere else. All I can say is there's a perspective right now, and there's experience, and there appears to be other textures of experience and a perspective that remains. It seems that the mind may be very quick to try to label and conclude what's going on, or what that is, or what's happening. The older I get, the less concerned I am with concluding it, the less concerned I am with wanting to know what label to give it, what label to give anything. And the more concerned I am with just experience itself from this perspective. But there's no denying that I'm curious, I stay curious, and the question itself still fascinates me. And we explore things like this together more deeply within the Patreon. If you're interested, I'll link that below.